on your journey away and out of Christianity, like, was it kind of a straight line, like straight? So you would call yourself an atheist now, right?
Yeah, and I would not call myself straight.
Oh yeah. Well, like, but yeah, was it a direct line, kind of straight from Christianity, straight directly, sorry, to atheism? Like, were there any kind of ups and downs or stops along the way? I'll give you an example really quickly. I, for a moment, thought that I possibly was an alien. That was part of my deconstruction process.
Whoa.
That was also me learning to become a skeptic properly. So, but there was definitely, I didn't jump straight from being like a fundamentalist Pentecostal Christian to being an atheist. I did have some moments on my way out, but most of my stops were not necessarily through other forms of Christianity. But I want to hear about that for you. How was your path out?
I thought my whole life was always about making Christianity work. So as I tried different things, it was looking for, where is this distinctiveness that I was promised? And as I was coming out, I went through a progressive Christianity phase for a few months. I went to a United Methodist church here in the area that was affirming. But once I got there, I'm like, okay, now what? And I tried to get in touch with people. I tried to make friends, and it wasn't happening. It was very awkward. And then having to sit through those sermons, it was traumatic, not cool. So I ended up leaving, not doing that, and eventually realized I don't believe in God. Why do I need to keep propping this guy up? And then as I was coming out, I experimented sexually and started downloading gay dating apps and was able to meet people. And during I ended up meeting, going on a date with the guy who is a ethical society leader here in St. Louis, and he's a humanist. And I never heard the term secular humanist before. So when he shared that with me, I started Googling and understanding better and realizing, oh, shit. All of the things that were incredibly important to me before are here, but not without a fantasy story, not without this big, like, in the old kingdom, there were 7 rings. And then weird, like the biblical backing of it, the mythology. It was, no, we treat humans the way that we would want to be treated, and we treat empathy, and we put ourselves in others' shoes. We understand dominant culture and what it means when we colonize. And then it just all fell into place, and things started to make sense. I was able to separate beliefs. Beliefs weren't, oh, I believe that this is the story that happened, is different than a type of belief that is, I believe gay people should be happy and alive. And realizing that values are different than narrative beliefs. But the way that I grew up was always intertwining those and blurring the lines, because that's what it was dependent on, was the power of storytelling. So now I believe strongly in the power of storytelling, but I keep that away from what can be seen as a narrative belief. So I like more meta narratives like Star Trek or something, where it says, hey, we know we're a story. We're not trying to tell you what's going to happen. We're trying to tell you a value. And I feel like a lot of Christianity claims that they're just doing that, but that's not what's happening. The storytelling, that narrative of the Bible, is not at all innocuous. It's not at all just neutral, and whoever, no, it's inherently problematic and harmful.
Yeah. I've always, like, I've had my thoughts about the more progressive versions of Christianity, because I do like see them as like their intention to like reduce harm in a lot of ways, but I still struggle. I've always struggled with like the ontology of it, like the storytelling. Like they're trying to kind of brace this 2 areas of like the story being very like inspirational and things, but then what about like the actual like facts of historically what happened here, like with like there still are propping up the belief in the Bible in a lot of ways, and like the actual events of the Bible happening in real time. I've struggled to I don't know. I basically saying that like I couldn't stop at progressive Christianity either, although I do appreciate some of the efforts made. I think that there are still a lot of poor thinking,
Huge
maybe.
problems with it.
Yeah, maybe some
Yeah.
huge problems in trying to reform the
Yes.
Bible, or to try to I think you and I have maybe both used this word, but kind of there's a synchronize it with secular humanism, and I don't see how it's possible in a lot of ways. It seems like there is a way to make any story more modern if you took a different twist on it, but like I really struggle to see why or how they're doing it with some of the biblical stories, because or trying to detach it even from the more harmful things that are you can't deny they're in the book, they're written right there. So I don't know. I think
the harmfulness in the books created privileges that progressive Christianity uses. To me, I see it as a movement of people who want the privileges that the Bible and Christianity has created, but not the responsibility, and not, not the having to answer to the harmfulness. And when that stuff is brought up, there's always, well, we don't do it like the fundamentalist, but that isn't speaking to what makes their message inherently their message, or what makes it uniquely or distinctively their message. Now they're just copying what humans have figured out by using their eyes, not their faith. They're then inserting what they've figured out by using their eyes, and then shoving it into a faith narrative. And that's not how progression works. That's appropriation.
Yeah. But arsena coitai. It was just a mistranslation.
Every time. Yeah. Repeat. Yeah. Repeat. This is a mistranslation. Yeah. Jesus didn't say that. Or
Jesus didn't talk about a lot of stuff.
And it was difficult for me when I first started deconstructing, because I did it online. I waited a while. I didn't want to be like a fresh deconstructor. I waited a hot minute before I started making the podcast, but I started bumping up against a lot of people who were talking about deconstruction, but to them that just meant, well, you become a progressive Christian.
Yeah, and that's one of my questions I was going to ask you. Do you feel like that word has been kind of taken over? Because when I first heard it, I just meant like you're going through something, you're reevaluating, but it seems like it is almost like a secondary term for being a progressive Christian. But
which makes no sense,
but
because
people use it for all sorts of things. Some people are deconstructing patriarchy, or deconstructing capitalism, or deconstructing something else. So I don't know, but it does seem to be their word almost now.
And if you take the word apart, what does it mean? A deconstruct. A construct is something that is built up. It's an abstract idea. So to deconstruct means to take away these assumptions or these biases that we've built into it, and then to critically question it and to say, well, why is it like this? Is this credible? And the problem is, faith is a construct. It is saying, abstract thing, just trust us. And the Bible is abstract, so it is a construct built upon a construct. It's saying progressive Christianity construct 1 is believe the Bible, and construct number 2 is, in this really weird convoluted way that we can't show you, is like consistent, but you just have to know by being brought up in culture that's already doing these things. So like, yeah, both of those are a construct. So if you deconstruct, you're adding a construct onto the Bible. It has more of a construct than fundamentalism does, where fundamentalism is read, believe. That one step. So it doesn't add up to me.
And so I, for our audience listening, I would like to have an open invitation that if you are somebody that falls maybe on, a lot of people don't like to give themselves a label, but if you are somebody who's like still considers themselves a Christian, or maybe like a more progressive version of Christianity, I would love it if you would call in and maybe like tell us why you still find this compelling. Why is it something that you're still, identify with? We'll try to just hear and talk about it. But if you do want to call in, I would love to talk to somebody who still finds themselves calling themselves a Christian. And yeah, let's just talk about it.